Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Monday Morning Jockey. I am your host, Rich Padilla. On this show is a little different. We're not handicapping races, we're analyzing races. So what we're doing is we're looking at races from the previous weekend to use them in future races. And for this podcast, we are doing it for the Kentucky Derby. So this week we're going to focus in on two races. First one is the Mucho Macho Man Stakes from Gulfstream Park, and the second is the Sham from Santa Anita. So let's get started. The first race that we're going to focus in on is the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. This is a non-stakes Derby points event, but it did have three horses that we're really going to focus in on. The first one is Dak Attack, is a Ellis Park juvenile winner, and he's coming out of Dale Roman's barn. He's had some hot workouts at Gulfstream, and so he's coming in really with a lot of heat on him. Also is Chad Brown's horse Mask, who had a great maiden win at Belmont. And the third one is always Todd Pletcher, who has Bal Harbor, who won the Smooth Air last month and also won the Sapling. So let's get right to the handicapping. As we look at the post positions, Dak Attack is in 2, Bal Harbor is in 3, and Mask is in 5. They all start off well, except for Bal Harbor had a little stumble. As we can kind of see, they're all getting forwardly placed, but Mask going out to the early lead, and Dak Attack is trying to settle in behind horses, and Bal Harbor is behind right now. So as you can see, we're kind of seeing off. It's kind of different than what we normally seen before from Mask. Mask is actually ahead, taking the lead, where in the previous race he was farther back in the race. Dak Attack has set himself up in a nice position in right behind the leaders, and Bal Harbor is now settling in about 4 lengths back. As you can see, the first quarter ran in at 24 and 2/5 seconds. As you can see, Mask is cruising along just fine. Dak Attack has a really good position, and I feel just a little bit Bal Harbor is just kind of struggling trying to fit in with that late bad start at the beginning. Now, as we go around the turn, we still have a 48, and Mask is kind of opening up a little bit. As you can see, Dak Attack is moving up a little bit, and he's trying to get there, but I don't feel like he's getting any horse. Alvarado's not getting on him. And we kind of start seeing Bal Harbor make his move on the inside, which is very good, but he is starting to hit him on the whip. But as you can see, Mask is sitting still, not moving, and not even showing any go. And Castellano just lets him go free down the stretch, and it's not even close. As you can see, Mask had an easy race, and they gear him down at the end. Bal Harbor still trying to work. I feel like it's a very gutsy performance, but as you can see, Mask takes the lead first, followed by Dak Attack coming in third. So after looking at this performance, I feel like the first place Mask, I still think he's a Kentucky Derby contender. I mean, he kind of showed a different kind of style. He noticed that no one was really taking the grass, and Castellano took him out there to the early lead and set slow fractions that he can get at a cruise control and take control of this whole race. He kind of did 24s all the way across the track and just geared down, and no one can catch him because he just let loose down the stretch for the win. The only concern that I have is that on his dam side is a Yanaguska, which is usually sprinter. But as I feel right now, that he can go farther in distance, and I'd like to see him more. I feel like he's going to the Risen Star. That's what's being hinted at. And I kind of feel that he's going to probably show himself. But there is some other horses there that we'll see next week in the LeCompte. For Bal Harbor, I think he's a gutsy horse. He's a grinder. I feel like he did get that stumble start. And I feel like that Pletcher will probably wheel him back in the Holy Bull. And he'll try to see what he can do at 2 turns. And maybe he can do a little bit better, but I'm just feeling that he'll probably just get 3rd or 4th. I feel like some other horses who are more prestigious will be in that race and will probably take the 1st or 2nd. But as I can see, he's more going to be staying more on the smaller grade 3s and all that, maybe staying Florida-based. As for Dak Attack, I kind of felt he needed a race. He was a little short. I mean, he only ran 6.5 furlongs at the Ellis Park Juvenile, and it kind of showed that he did need it. I mean, he had some great things happening in his workouts, but it didn't show up today. I think Mask was the best. But I still think he has a Kentucky Derby potential, and Romans does know how to get them there. Let's just hope one day he can win it. So for right now, I feel like there are 2 horses still on. Mask is on the upslope on the Kentucky Derby run, and I feel that Dak Attack is on an even keel. Bal Harbor, I don't see that happening, and I didn't think any of the other horses who were in it, they were way far back. So that's how I feel. The second race we're going to focus in on is the Sham. This is a Derby points race. In case you don't know what the Derby points race is, points are offered in certain races to qualify for the Kentucky Derby. In the Sham Stakes, you earn 10 points for first, 4 points for second, 2 points for third, and 1 point for fourth. So in this race, it was the return of McKenzie, the winner of the Los Alamitos Futurity. The reason why I air quotes is because McKenzie didn't really win the race. Salamini won the race, but was disqualified and moved to third for bumping into Instill Regard. So there is some doubt whether he can win at a mile and a 16th. But they're bringing him back right away. Balfour takes the blinkers off of McKenzie and is trying again. The other one is Shiver Me Timbers. He's a main winner from Del Mar, but he did race against McKenzie when McKenzie did win. But he did come back with a 90 buyer. We're also going to see My Boy Jack. My Boy Jack had a great 7th place in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, and he's trying the dirt because Catholic Boy also did at the Remsen, and we'll see how well he can do. And the last one that we're going to look at is All Out Blitz, is out of Simon Callahan from Colleen Shaw. He won at Los Alamitos in a maiden race, and we're going to focus in on those 4 horses. Now let's look at the Sham. As you can see, they're all doing well off, and they all have a great start. McKenzie gets a clear lead, and then we kind of see that My Boy Jack is kind of getting in there. But then All Out Blitz is kind of taking the early lead. As you can see, he's kind of doing a nice steady pace. He's there right there by Shiver Me Timbers. And McKenzie has a good stalking trip for about 3 wide outside. So they're all getting through the first part of the edge. I think Shiver Me Timbers right now looks like he's in a really good position. So I'm really starting to try to understand what is going on. As you can see, we do a 23 and 3. And as we're going along, we're kind of still seeing McKenzie kind of still having a nice stalking trip. All Out Blitz still leading out, having to try to do the half. I think the half goes out in 47. As of right now, I can kind of see City Plan a little struggling there, but he'll fall off on the edge right now. Shiver Me Timbers has an excellent off the pace. I just still trying to figure out what is going on. My Boy Jack is still not in the picture. And as you can see now, McKenzie make his move around the turn, starting to pass Shiver Me Timbers, who's not even giving anything right now. I don't understand. And All Out Blitz, they're trying to give a little bit into him, but McKenzie is coming on the outside, and Mike Smith starts to move him and gently gets him to the stretch. And now, as you can see, My Boy Jack is starting to be hit by the whip, and that kind of concerns me, where you had to try to get him to go. But as you can see, McKenzie leading out and just going along, no stress. I know everybody's worried about that wagging of the tail, but to me, that's not an issue. And McKenzie just dominates and leads out and just accelerates into that final win to beat out All Out Blitz and My Boy Jack. Shiver Me Timbers just fell apart. I don't see what's happening out even on the gallop out. So, as you can see, we kind of see that McKenzie is reaffirming what that Los Alamitos Futurity. I think it's going to be a key race. I mean, we see McKenzie coming back, even though having taken a second and having maybe not having enough foundation, but did come back to win easily the Sham. He earned a 97 buyer, which is very strong. I understand what's going on. I feel like he is trying to get some more points into him, but he's also trying to get him prepped for the long run. I think McKenzie's a very young horse, and he will get better as we go along. So I think he's the only legitimate Kentucky Derby favorite. And also a big plus is that John White, someone I very well respect, has him as one of his top horses for the Kentucky Derby. All Out Blitz, I just did not see anything out of him. I mean, he led, but he pretty much died. I feel like he's just in a sprinter range. Maybe he should be at 6.5, 7 furlongs. I'd like to see him back in the San Vicente. I'm just concerned if Simon Callahan brings him at the Robert B. Lewis. But I feel like he should be more in the sprinters race. My Boy Jack, like I said, Breeders' Cup Juvenile is a strong race as we have Mendelssohn and Catholic Boy in it. But I kind of feel like he needs to probably go back to the turf. And Shiver Me Timbers, I'm still trying to figure out what was going on. I feel like he had that stalking trip. He was right there, had a good pace. He was pressing, and all of a sudden just didn't have anything in him today. I think Jerry Hollendorfer really has to evaluate Shiver Me Timbers. I might give him a little thing, but right now he's on the downswing. Another thing I like to do is I'm a big list fan, but we're going to do, since we are focusing in and getting ready for the Kentucky Derby, let's look at my top 10 as of January 7th. My top pick is Good Magic, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. he had a great run. I mean, he had a trouble green trip in the Champagne, but he really showed what he's got in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. My second choice is Bolt de Oro. I feel like he did great as a 2-year-old. I mean, winning the front runner in the Del Mar Futurity. Kind of struggled a little bit outside. I think that was just kind of had a little bit of issues with it. Number 3 is Solimini, the winner of the Los Alamos Fraternity. I think he keeps growing. I think he's a grinder. I think he's going to be one of the top ones in there. I wouldn't leave him out of my superfectas at all in the Kentucky Derby. Number 4 is Catholic Boy. I think he did a great Remsen, and I think he's showing what the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf will be. I feel like there will be a couple other horses who will be coming out of there, Mendelssohn later on, and do all that. Right now, the shock horse right now is Principe Guillaume. He will be running in the LeCompte next week. He had excellent runs in Kentucky. His maiden win was spectacular, and his fairgrounds, his allowance was just as amazing as well. At number 6, I have Copper Bullet. Copper Bullet I've been impressed with since June, and when he won the Saratoga Special, I felt like he was on the right trip. Had some issues, so he's been off the shelf for a while, but he's coming back. He's back to the word tab, and Gary Stevens is very proud of him. Number 7 is McKinsey. I moved him up. I feel like that he was the better of the two on Saturday. I feel like he's also got the foundation with the Los Alamitos Fraternity. There's only much more that he can go. I don't know if he's going to be staying around for even going the Robert B. Lewis or the San Felipe, or is he going the Oaklawn way? Number 8 is Todd Pletcher's amazing horse from October or early November. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, was Montauk. He still hasn't gotten back into training, so I'm giving him a couple more weeks. But if I see him coming back, then he'll be staying right there. If not, he will be dropping. And number 9 is Mask. His 92 buyer and in the Mucho Macho Man Stakes just feel like it's just going up for him. There's inklings that he will be going to the Risen Star at the fairgrounds in February. I'm excited because that kind of gives, there's some other horses there with some potential, and we could have some very good races in February. And number 10 is Enticed, the Kentucky Club Juvenile winner. I mean, he's going on the upswing. I feel like he had a great race. I think Jeremy Plonk thinks he does. He thinks he has him on the top of his list, and I think there's future things with him, and that'll be going. Thank you for showing up to our show, and join us next week where I'll be handicapping 3 races. I'll be handicapping the LeCompte from the fairgrounds, Jerome from the Aqueduct, and the Smarty Jones from Oaklawn Park. And as I want to say to you, you always analyze because if you learn from your mistakes, it's only going to give you money in the future. Have a good night.